Okay, welcome. Today I am going to create a tutorial on how to achieve waves. Some of the products that I used were, she's freshly washed and dried, so we did that yesterday. And then I'm going to go in with an invisible oil. What I like about this one is that it's for dry and damaged hair. It smooths frizz and it has UV and thermal protection up to, I believe, 450. Now, I know a lot of, hold on, retract, I'll go back to that. So obviously while the hair's still wet, I mean, you can use it dry, but I went in with a mousse that thickens and also adds body and volume, so that was part of the prep stage. So there we go. Wash and dry as you normally would. Go ahead, apply your mousse. Blow dry the hair. If you're using this dry, you just want to apply a little bit of mousse between your hands, rub it through like this. If you're using a volume mousse, you want to put the primary product up here, then work it out. If you're using a regular mousse, then you can apply it to your mids and ends first. And when I say mids and ends, I refer to, hold on, let me get a piece so you can see. Mids and ends refers to from about here down. So mids, ends, just so you know. So I'm going to go through with my thermal protector, get her all prepped and ready. Alright, now that little Miss Emma is prepped and ready, I'm going to section out her hair. If you're doing this at home on yourself, you can be more precise, less precise, whatever floats your boat. And then you're going to take a waver. This one was pretty inexpensive. I think I got it on Amazon for like $20 to $25. You'll take a hairspray. I usually prefer more of an aerosol form, but they're both kind of low, so I'm just going to use the wet one. When using a wet one, you just want to get a little farther back and try to use a little bit less than you normally would. And then that's it. So now her hair is pretty much prepped. So I'm going to actually start to show you the waving part. So what you want to do, your waver is shaped like this, right? So you want to apply the big barrel closer to the root of the hair and the flatter, and then undulate, which means this is undulating. So to get volume, you want to apply this part closer to the scalp. There we go. So you'll come in and you'll clamp and you'll slightly roll. And what the roll does is it allows the volume to come off of the scalp to give you more of that natural appearance. And you can kind of see how that created a wave. And then you'll just come in here. Obviously, since I'm working with a mannequin, I have pretty low heat. I don't ever suggest putting high heat on your hair anyway. It's just, especially if it's color treated, that's just my preference. I wouldn't go above, honestly, I wouldn't go above like 400. I feel like 400 you're playing a dangerous game, but that's just my opinion. So, I hope you can hear me. That's pretty much what it looks like. So, I'm going to turn her, little Miss Emma, so you can see. And then I'm just going to repeat the same steps over here. So I'm trying to make it work. And so something to consider as you're going through, when you move it down, you can see how this is an up part. So I'm going to place it at the up part of the tool, which seems like a small thing, but it actually makes a huge difference. So there we go. So you can kind of see that. Okay, so now we're just going to continue that all the way around the head. The tool is really the part that makes the most difference. If you don't have a waver and you're trying to do this with a flat iron, it is possible. I don't have one turned on right now, but hold on. The cool thing about this hairstyle though is that it's going to give you longevity. Like you can do this on Monday morning and then wear it till like Wednesday, maybe even Thursday, and I'll kind of show you how, like give you different tips in a second, but it's pretty low maintenance, which is awesome. So same thing, far away, spritzer down. I like to come in and just kind of comb out the section that I'm about to do, that way I know where it is. And so while I'm letting my you can kind of clamp it just so that the heat isn't too hot on your scalp, which, like I just said, it kind of alleviates all the heat from being so close. When you clamp it, it allows a little bit of air in there, and it just helps if you feel like it's too hot. If you feel like it's too hot, though, it probably is, and you should turn it down. Oh my gosh, it's snowing! Why? Why is it snowing in April? Beautiful. Alright. So then, like I was saying, if you don't have a waver, you can do it without it. I would say it's more of an advanced technique. If you're not very familiar with doing hair, or like let's say you're a natural gal who doesn't ever like flat iron or anything like that, then you probably want to just invest in the tool. I mean, it's not that much, and go that way. But if you were somebody who is more familiar, you're going to come in and do the same thing. You're going to turn, release, turn, release, turn, release, turn. So you can see it created the same shape, but it's a little looser. So there are totally, you know, you can do it with the tools you already have. You can do it with a curling iron. That's definitely going to be a more advanced technique. Now that we are going to move over here, I'm going to turn our head for you. And then with those couple other options I showed you, it's totally up to you. I mean, do whatever is easier for you. I prefer this, honestly, because it gives me that more true wave versus me trying to figure out like how far to wait in between, how far to turn, yada yada. And in my opinion, this is honestly like super quick. You just like 2 or 3 little, depending on how long your hair is, 2 or 3 little clamps, and she can move on to her next section. So I don't know, in my opinion, it's fun. I really like these kinds of hairstyles. They are low maintenance, but very fashionable, very natural. Like, every time I wear this hairstyle, people ask me if I have naturally like curly wavy hair, and I don't, but I love to fake it. I wear my hair in some kind of curl, you know, every day regardless, so I definitely enjoy these kinds of things. So her wrap, her comb. So you want to just be mindful that you don't want to comb into those sections that are resting, cooling, whatever you want to say. You just want to be mindful of those sections, not to comb into them because they're not cooled yet, so that pattern that you've created isn't going to be able to stay. So especially if you want longevity out of this hairstyle, you really want to leave those alone till the very end. And so you can see how creating that bump in there gives you that volume instead of it just laying like flat, which is what you want because naturally curly wavy hair is very voluminous. They're usually pretty lucky in that department, so when we're cheating it, we want to mimic what God gives you naturally, so that way it ensures that it looks real. So keep in mind too that with thickness in the hair, you're going to want to compensate for it. So if your hair is very thick, you don't want to do as wide of partings that I am, and you will end up using a little more heat. Like I said earlier, this is mannequin hair, so you really can't heat because you'll just burn it. They're usually a blend of synthetic and natural hair, so you just want to be careful. It's kind of like people who, I'm sure if you know, people who maintenance their wigs. You just have to be careful. You want to use that real low heat. And some people have asked me, like, while I'm doing this, if I change the direction, like you would on your curling iron if you didn't want all your curls to stick together. And I personally don't. I think that it creates, because you're not having, one, the same length of hair all over. Like if you have a layered haircut or something like that, most people don't have a blunt haircut where every single piece is the same length. So it's going to create that texture regardless. And that's kind of what you're looking for in a hairstyle like this. You want it to be wild and textury, have movement. So with that being said, you definitely, you can change the direction. I don't feel like it's necessary because the different widths are going to change the direction, the different lengths are going to end up looking different. You're not going to put the tool in the exact, like you can see, I'm not putting the tool in the exact same place every single time. So it's going to create that natural texture without you having to concentrate on turning your waver upside down and right side up, and that's another advanced, more advanced level. If you're starting out doing this, you don't really need to worry about that part. Because once you kind of finger comb it and everything, it's going to look Alright, so now we're going to move to the front, so I'm going to show you the front of her head. And the reason why being, I parted her hair yesterday with a side part. So when you get to this point of your hairstyle, you want to part it and then wave off the part. And then the way I like to do it is back here where your head starts to round around the back. I like to leave out that little corner and add it to the back. That way when it lays down in the back, it'll still have that natural look to it. So because this side is a pretty thick section, it's like 2 inches, what I like to do with that is again cut that corner off that leans towards the back, and then I'll actually cut this in half. And I just kind of roughly do it. You can be more precise, maybe use like your rat tail comb or something like that, but I don't really. You know, hairstylists, shoemakers' kids don't have any shoes. Hairstylists never have their own hair done. And look, people, I'm with you during this quarantine. My roots they're something special. If you live in a place where it's winter, and tell me your least favorite and most favorite things about winter. I think my most favorite thing about winter is the cute clothes, like getting to layer up and wear your boots and your scarves and your mittens. My red leather coat. That's my favorite. And then my least favorite thing about winter is driving. Driving in the snow is very, very hard. So in the back, to get that same volume, you want to lift the hair. It's called over direction. You want to lift the hair and pull it slightly above. So like, let's say this is straight out of the scalp, just boom, slightly above. And then you still come in with your waver and create that volume in the back of the crown, because that's what we like. And don't worry if some of your hair like falls out of the side. It's gonna actually make it look more natural. Finishing touches, you're gonna spritz yourself down, kind of lightly lift and move things around. And then while we let that finish cooling, if you're doing this on yourself, you'll want to kind of come from underneath, because no one's going to notice if that's a little looser than everything else. But look at that, isn't that just gorgeous? Tell me she doesn't look like this is her natural hair texture. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's wild, it's funky, it's beautiful. So the last little thing I'm going to talk to you about when doing this kind of hairstyle, so like I mentioned earlier, you can use this type of hairstyle for longevity, so you can get a couple days out of it if you want to. I usually take this top section when I go to bed and braid it in a nice loose braid, not all the way down to the end, and then braid the top one and then take everything else, and you can either do 2 off to the side or 1 in the back, and then you just sleep with it braided like that. In the morning you might come and just like real quick, just like boop, 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 all over the ends to kind of just zhuzh them and make them match with everything, but that's really it. And actually, shout out to my day one A1, Kayla. She actually asked me to do this video. She thought it would be, she really liked my hair. I am Danielle, also known as Shears and Foils on social media, and what I do for a living is I am a licensed cosmetologist, so I do hair and makeup for a living. It's my passion, it's what I love, and it's what I'm here to teach you guys all about. So, like this video if you like natural. Like this video if you took a shot every time I said natural. Like this video if you just like this video. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. I'm obviously not like a legit YouTuber. This is kind of for fun. Just to practice teaching and talking to people, and I want to be able to share with people how you get gorgeous, beautiful hair and how to feel beautiful and gorgeous. Thank you for coming. Bye!